Hey, how's it? Welcome to Chatter with Statter. Good to see you here today. It is the Thursday afternoon chat that we all join with each other. Coming together here, Chatter with Statter, 4:30 p.m. on the West Coast, 1:30 on the or on the islands, and 7:30 on the East Coast. I do believe we're looking at midnight 30 for those Scottish UK types. So welcome in to this statter box here today. I am so happy to be with you all and so happy to have everyone here joining us. It is a chilly fall day where I am at, not quite sure what is going on in your neck of the woods. And I know that with this change of seasons, we've got plenty of changes going around. It's so bizarre not having Andy around every morning to start the day, but I'll tell you what, Shakalak has been holding the fort down like a trooper, stepping in. Gosh, I came in there, was it today or yesterday? I think it might have been today. 21 people were hanging out. Shak is just, she's got a second job during her day job. Shh, no one tell. Hey, Cindy Krause, how are you? Good to see you here today. I am stoked that you're here. We've not to bore everyone with weather talk already, but hey, Cindy, we have gotten some pretty good rain up here in the Seattle area. I know that your area has been thirsty. Is there any precipitation in the Central Coast area? Hey, Terry. Oh, that's a good question. I thought today was Thursday. I hope today's Thursday. Um, I'm acting like it's Thursday. I think it's Thursday. No, it's Thursday. It is Thursday. Yeah. So I'm glad that we are. I guess it must be Thursday since I'm here. I'm glad to see that you're here too. So, oh, Cindy, still that wet fog? Well, I guess any moisture is better than no moisture, but what a tease. I really would like to see some downpours coming in your area. Okay, eMusic, thank you for confirmation. Suddenly, when questioned with reality, I didn't really have an answer. Like, oh my goodness. Um, is it Wednesday? Am I supposed to be at work? Yeah, because I work from home Tuesdays and Thursdays. I work in the office Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So that would have been a confusion. But anyway, all right. Now that we've got a few folks here, I want to show you something that is new to the show and super fancy, I think. So, welcome to Chatter with Statter, Thursdays and Sundays. And since we've got confirmation it is Thursday, yep, indeed, Thursdays and Sundays, 4:30 p.m. West Coast time. So, welcome in, y'all. I'm glad that we got that cleared up. All right. Well, hey, I was going to throw down. I know, Terry, isn't that just a great little intro? I love the green of that cat's eyes. Not my kitty. I don't know whose kitty it is, but that kitty has some amazing peepers. So, hey, I'm going to throw on a little bit of footage that I took, totally raw footage, when I was on the coast a couple weeks ago in the rainforest. And I figured we could have this going in the background while we're chatting away. Yeah, eMusic, isn't that a great intro? Obviously, I think we all know I was not the one who was the mastermind behind that. But I don't know if the gentleman wants credit, but I think we might know who it was that was behind that piece of art. And we are all looking forward to seeing him come back on the air. Hopefully October 4th will be that day. But, life gets in the way and determines just what's happening. And I get the feeling that a roof is maybe a smidge more important than continuing the stream. So if Andy needs to stay away for a little while longer. I guess we'll survive. After all, CHAK's doing a great job holding the fort down. uh, so, uh, so it sounds like Cindy has got some wet fog and e-music. Where, what's it? Has fall decided to rear its ugly head or beautiful head where you're at? As you can see, the very, the very singular day that I drove through the rainforest, fall decided to make its appearance for the first time in, well, for the first time that year. And I guess really, I mean, when it happened, and I was raining, and it was raining, I really was disappointed. But on the other hand, at the same time, at the same time, um, maybe it's, I mean, it seems appropriate to have rain in the rainforest. So I guess perhaps I'll look at it as a blessing. The one thing though I have to say is, don't mind the windshield wipers. Hope they don't drive you crazy, but boy, they had to happen when they happened. I tried to keep the windshield wiping action to a minimum, but sometimes you have to see when you're driving. I mean, I guess you don't have to, but I like that to see when I'm driving and stuff. Yeah, I think Andy misses us. I know I miss it. I miss him. I sent him an email the other day telling him how much I miss him. That's how much I miss him. So yeah, so okay, so you've got e-music, you've got autumn action happening in Northwest Wisconsin, and it's gorgeous right now. Fall colors in bloom. Perfect. Yeah, we just started the cold wet literally within the last like 4 days here in the Puget Sound area. So we haven't quite hit the beautiful colors. Now we do have some yellows and browns showing up on the trees, but unfortunately those aren't fall colors. They're literally this summer was so dry that the leaves are drying dead on the tree. It's not a good look. I mean, it's pretty, but then you look at it and you're like, oh, but that ain't right. So we're yeah, some of our maples and our oaks are like, oh no, no. But we are about to start the real pretty, like the legit color change season. And hopefully there will be a day or two that isn't too rainy that I'll be able to get out and get some pretty footage, because the Pacific Northwest, as I've said many times, I think has gorgeous colors for the fall because we've got a nice green backdrop along with the multiple colored deciduous trees. So I think that's super awesome. Now, e-music, I'm guessing that in Wisconsin, there's plenty evergreen trees too. It's not just the trees that fall. Not just the trees that the leaves fall, right? I feel like there's some kind of coniferous pine, fir, maybe not fir, but there's evergreen trees in Northwest Wisconsin, right? Or even the Great Lakes area, right? Oh shoot, this might oh shoot. I might have put on the wrong I might have pulled out my earplug or earphone, but I also might have put on the wrong video. I'm not sure this is the video I meant to put on. So, we'll see where this video takes us. I thought this was a video going to Lake Quinault, but I'm not so sure it is. Okay, so yeah, this is just Highway 101, much different than what I thought I was showing you. Sorry about that, guys, but oh well, it's still kind of pretty. Oh, yes. While I'm thinking about it, or before I forget, actually, how about this? While I'm thinking about it, before I forget. I always forget to put the music on. There we go. Now we've got some music. And the other thing I was going to mention, I completely forgot. So there you have it, Rabbit. Good thing we had that music discussion. Oh yeah, Cynthia Kraus or Cindy Kraus 101 for the most part all along the Washington coast is just a two-lane road, one lane in each direction. It's actually a lot of Oregon coast is like that too. Now, parts of 101 when you get to like Olympia, that is a multiple lane type road. Oh, you know what? And just outside of Shelton, between Olympia and Shelton, it's like an actual freeway. But then once you hit Shelton, all of this means nothing to you. It's just a two lane road. And actually, this stretch of 101 is on the coast of Washington. You know, the coast is in like the ocean. And so 101 goes all the way around the Olympic Peninsula. So it goes up the coast with the Pacific, then it goes, it runs the north edge of the land along the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and then it comes back down along the Hood Canal. And the Hood Canal section of the road, that whole section is I basically I can't wait to get footage of that section. It's one of my favorite drives in the world. It's twisty, turny, it's gorgeous. And I am not somebody who likes oysters, but if I'm gonna eat oysters, I will only eat oysters harvested from that section of the world. Basically, I'm not picky. So super awesome land, rivers galore, straight from the rainforest. It's beautiful. Hey, Kenny Casey, good to see you. We are, oh, Terry, your son returns to Tacoma this weekend. He's pretty habut. Yeah, I bet it's going to be quite the culture, or not culture, quite the weather shock, because it literally, like I said earlier, it's like they turned down the heat. Nature was like, oh, it's almost October. I don't know where I've been here. It got cold all of a sudden. Like, not like, like last Thursday. No, I mean, not even, yeah, I guess actually maybe last Thursday is when it started to get really cold. So yeah, he's going to need a sweater when he gets to Tacoma. So, oh, you're just trying to set music, trying to send me a photo of the trees, but low tech, you needs help. Rick S can tell you all about the trees here. Awesome. Hey, no hurries, no worries, because I'm low tech enough that I'm only using I'm not going to get into what I'm using, but I wouldn't be able to get the picture if you whispered it, emailed it, posted it on Facebook. I wouldn't be able to see it till after the stream anyway. So don't even worry about it. Take your time, send it to me if and when you can. Or if you don't ever send it to me, that's okay. We can live without it. We'll figure it out. Oh, nice. Your son put heaters on his patio so he can still enjoy the fall weather outdoors. That's really, I think, the best, one of the best tricks. I had never seen outdoor heaters until I went to Texas. I know, weird, but actually, anyway, because Texas has so many live music venues that are outdoors. Well, probably restaurants. Texas does a lot of stuff outside, and after dark, sometimes it gets chilly. And so, and Texans love to burn propane and, their propane accessories. Anyway, it was in like the year 2001 or whatever. I was at South by Southwest, and like all these venues that were outside had these outdoor heaters, and I was just, my mind was blown. It was like, dude, Washington needs this, because everybody's, if you're going to try to hang out outside, you've got a covered porch, and sitting in a covered porch, hearing the raindrop is just awesome. But, it gets a little bit chilly. And so outdoor heaters, oh, it was just, yeah, I'd never seen them. And then suddenly I started seeing them in the Pacific Northwest. I'm sure they had been here all along. I just had never clued into what they were, so I didn't see them. But yeah, outdoor heaters, man, it's the way to go. Oh, awesome music. It went through. Excellent. I'll check it out. But right now, I'm low tech too, so I can't. Terry Gilmore, South by Southwest. Well, you have to remember, South by Southwest, I went 20 years ago. It is a completely different animal now. And I'm not sure I would recommend it now. But back then, I absolutely would have recommended it. However, if you were going to go to South by Southwest, back in the day, well, I'm sure this logic still applies. If you're going to go to South by Southwest, what you need to do is you need to get your tickets and your passes as early as possible, so you get the cheapest, you pay the least basically, but then also you need to cough up for the most expensive, the industry pass, which basically gets you a laminate badge, and you don't have to wait in line. You don't have to, you can go anywhere. And without that industry badge, you're stuck. Without the industry badge, I would not recommend South by Southwest, period, end of story. But if you get, when I went in 2001, no, it was 2000, I think. Anyway, when I went, the industry badge was definitely if you got it early enough and cheap enough, it was cost effective enough to make it worthwhile to see all the things. Cause basically, I don't know how they figure capacity, but capacity doesn't really matter. Like, if you have an industry badge, you get let in. Whereas if the venue's full, the people who have their wristband, but they have to wait in line, like after certain people leave, then they let more in. And so you end up spending more time in line than you do going to shows. Whereas if you've got the pass, you can just go from show to show to show. And quite literally, 6th Street in Austin, honestly, 6th Street in Austin, which is where the vast majority of South by Southwest, takes place. It's worth going there outside of South by Southwest time. There's so much good music, so many bars right next to each other. You could spend an entire week going down 6th Street and probably not hit all the live music venues that are there. And going to multiple venues a night, you would probably still not hit all the live music venues that are just on that street. Austin is worth going to for live music. I'm not so sure I would recommend South by Southwest though. So Terry Gilmore, buy early, sort of like Bumper Shoot. Yeah, exactly. You're picking up what I'm laying down for sure. Kenny Casey, I was at South by Southwest, just an hour and a half from your house. You live here and you've never been. That's funny. No, I've been to Texas a lot, actually. And as much as I don't know if I could ever live in Texas, I feel like maybe, I know this is a really crazy thing to say, but I feel like maybe in a past life or something I was in Texas. Because whenever I go to Texas, I have this odd sense of like, oh yeah, this is home. And it's like, no, Texas has never been home. Like, I've lived in Hawaii and I've lived in Washington. But I still feel this sense of familiarity with the land. It's a very strange phenomena, but it's happened to me multiple times when I've gone to Texas. So yeah, I don't know what that's all about. But yeah, I don't know. I like Texas, even though I don't like Texas. I love Austin though. Austin's just a great city. It's a pretty city. And I'll tell you what, oh my God, dude. Austin has the most birds I have ever experienced in a metropolitan area. Like, to a degree that it's cacophonous and it's loud and you almost have to plug your flippin' ears. There's so many birds. It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. Completely different footage, topic, by the way, completely different than the footage we're looking at here, which is the rainforest cemetery that I'm leaving, on Lake Quinault. But yeah, 6th Street though, I think that Austin is worth going to just as a tourist destination in and of itself. And I've heard that San Antonio is pretty cool too, but I've never been to San Antonio, so I cannot recommend San Antonio. I mean, I can't not recommend it either, you know. So this footage that we're looking at is in the national park, and people live here, so I don't really understand that. But yeah, people live in the national park. Mad Statter, could that have been the cosmos trying to give me a message? Well, perhaps. I mean, it's I have joked about moving to Texas before, and I've had friends who grew up in Missouri come flying into my rescue saying, listen to what you're saying. Listen to what you're saying. Yeah, I know, Terry. Isn't that weird? The same kind of deja vu feeling, even if it's the first time. Yeah, when I was going through the hill country outside of Austin, it was eerie. Oh, it was just bizarre. Oh, speaking of the hills country outside of Austin, I was driving. I drove to South by Southwest from Seattle to Austin, and I was driving to Austin for South by Southwest, this very road trip. And I was speeding because I was just outside of Austin. I just wanted to get to the hotel, and honestly, I just wanted a beer. And I hadn't wanted a beer the entire trip that I had taken, and I was already like a week or two into my trip, right? I hadn't had a beer the whole time. Suddenly in Texas, I get this urge to I want to buy a 6-pack of beer. So the next time that I had to stop to get gas, I stopped at a convenience mart, the gas station, got my gas, went inside, and I couldn't find beer to save my life until I finally asked. I was like, where is the beer? And the local was like, oh, this is a dry county. And it's just like, oh, of course it's a flippin' dry county. The one place in the middle of the country that I actually craved a beer. My senses must have known that it was illegal or something, and suddenly it's like, it's not allowed. I want one. I want it now. Anyway, didn't get the beer. So on the way into Austin, I'm speeding. And this cop pulls me over, and I kid you not. Oh my God. He came to the door or the window, whatever, driver's thing. And he legitimately, no sarcasm, no snark. He legitimately asked, is there some kind of emergency here? Like, he was totally concerned. It was, and willing to give me a benefit of the doubt, like right out of his mouth. It was just like, it was clear that he was open to excuses, at which point I had to tell him, I was like, no, man, there's no emergency here. I'm speeding, whatever. So he wrote me a ticket. He was super nice, but I have to tell you, man, I have never been pulled over before and had a cop just be so legitimately concerned about why someone might be going, that giving you the benefit of the doubt right away. It was the strangest experience. 20 years later, I'm still talking about him. So it was pretty awesome. Yeah, so that's that. Of course, I had another experience with a cop on that same trip in Texas, and he was a little bit less amenable to things. He pulled me over for no reason. I wasn't speeding. He admitted, he's just like, you just caught my eye. And it was like, yeah, I'm driving Washington state plates and I have pink hair. That's why I caught your eye. And so that experience was a little, shall we say, more tense, but everything ended up fine. It was no big deal. Yeah, so adventures in Texas. What can I say? So, hey, Terry, you said that you've had the same deja vu feeling. Where is your Texas? And does anybody else have a Texas, so to speak, where you think Or, it's just like, I feel like I've been here before. What's up with that? Anybody have that? So, even though it was raining in the rainforest, although not too bad right here, it looks like the rainforest when I was there was still very dry. The moss hanging from the trees was brown and dead, and it kind of made me wonder how easy it would be to catch on fire, which made me a little bit nervous. But yeah, so I'm really glad that it rained, even though I didn't want it to rain. Hey, Lane, how you doing? Good to see you swinging in. We are just talking about, well, we're looking at a video of the rainforest that I took a couple weeks ago, but we're talking about Austin, Texas. So, or Texas in general, but more specifically Austin, because, well, that's the place that I've been to most. So, yeah. And I'm just wondering, as I said earlier, Texas, I feel like, oh, video's over. Yeah, so Texas, I feel like I have actually like been there before, like lived there sort of in a past life or something. And I thought that was odd. Terry, it looks like she's had deja vu in countries where she doesn't speak the language. Oh, wow. So, yeah, I was just wondering if anybody else has ever, been someplace that you've never experienced the space before, and yet somehow there's this innate familiarity. I mean, it can't just be Terry and I that have this happen, right? Right. I mean, Terry and I do go to the same optician, so maybe it is just us, but Cindy Krause, who you calling a hoe? Uh, okay, y'all, now we know that this Lono tune is very soothing. Let's not fall asleep. This might be our own Four Turtles kind of meditation, but you know. Um, okay, Kenny, your deja vu place is Eufaula, Oklahoma. I don't know how to say that. I'm gonna say Eufaula. I don't know. I don't know. But okay, so what? So like, yeah, dude, let's talk about this. What happened? Like, have you uh do you yeah, what's going on with that? Oh, eMusic, you've had several deja vu experiences too. It's cool. So yeah, what's up with that, man? We're getting to be October, right? It's almost October. Deja vu is not really spooky, but we're not really in the spooky season yet. That's tomorrow. So let's talk about almost spooky stuff like deja vu. It's almost spooky. Not really, but just weird a little bit. So yeah, what's up with the deja vus? All yous? Yeah, exactly, Terry. Thank you. How do you pronounce Eufaula or Eufaula or Ephala or yeah, how you say? Because I'm pretty sure I did not say that right. And also, Kenny, I'm wondering, you are such a Texas boy, and Oklahoma is not that far from Texas. So, um, uh, Eufaula. Okay, Eufaula. Eufaula. Okay. No, wait, he just retracted that. Hold on. All right, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But do you have family from that area? Because Oklahoma is so Oklahoma and Texas are fairly close to each other, and so I'm just wondering if you had some kin folk from the Oklahoma area. You fella, okay. I think I might have to listen to it one time just to make sure, but I think I've got it. So, although Kenny, I'm sure you're just like, no, you do not have it, but I'm just gonna stop trying to tell her because she ain't saying it different no matter what. Yeah. That's me. So tell us, Kenny, what happened in... oh, okay, so your oldest friend Marty lives up there? Oh, okay. And it just feels like home when you go there? Kind of makes sense. Now, this is, I suppose, a little bit closer to spookier, but when I was walking in the woods once when I was in Olympia, fancy that, we're going back to Woodstock where I was in college. I had two friends and I were walking, actually a bunch of people were walking down the trail. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, okay, Terry. So your deja vus have been eating a meal or shopping in a store. Again, in a foreign country, like, was I a shopkeeper or a server in a past life? Yep, that makes sense. I feel like I was a shopkeeper in a past life. And the funny thing is I say these things so casually, and yet I'm still not even sure I believe in past lives. Yet at the same time, just like, but blah, blah, blah. So clearly I have mixed feelings about the subject. My logic and my intuition are at odds. So, there's that. But yeah, I actually do kind of sometimes feel like I was a shop, like, yeah, being a shopkeeper is in the back of my head. I feel like, especially when I was a kid, like I just felt this knowledge of like, that's a job I used to have when I was a grown up or so. I can't. So yeah. All right. Now we're getting into crazy territory. All right, then we're just going to stop. But I understand what you mean, even if it makes me nuts. Oh, the area of Oklahoma looks an awful lot like some of the parts of the Texas Hill Country. Oh, that sounds really pretty. I've never been to Oklahoma. I don't think I've ever been to Oklahoma. I'm 93% sure I've never been to Oklahoma. I have a nagging suspicion I might have driven through there in the middle of the night, which is why I'm saying I've never been. But I'm pretty sure I've never been to Oklahoma. I have been to Waco, Texas, though, on a Greyhound bus. From a Greyhound bus from Austin, Texas to Atlanta, Georgia. That took 24 hours. I don't suggest you do it. On the other hand, I do suggest that a reality check for people, like if you know a kid or somebody who's just like a little bit too spoiled, they need to do two things in their life. They need to become a busser at a restaurant. First off, that's what they need to do. Is they need to become a busser at a restaurant. And then they also need to take at least a 12-hour, if not 24-hour trip on a Greyhound bus someplace far. Those two things will help to cure, or will go a long way to honing the reality check that some individuals need to have in their life. Yes, there you go. Waco, Texas, the buckle on the Bible Belt. Yeah, I didn't know that's what it was called, but I'm not at all surprised. Not at all surprised. Although that buckle got bust a little while ago. Okay, actually a long while ago, but that's okay. So, music, your grandfather was from Oklahoma, Cherokee. He married Han grandmother. Got it. Yeah. Now, did you know that Oklahoma is actually not the original land for where the Cherokee are from. The Cherokee are actually from North Carolina. I learned that when I was staying in North Carolina, right outside the town of Cherokee. And and Cherokee is a, I mean, okay, first, I think I've talked about Cherokee before. I really liked Cherokee. First off, it's an Indian town, and when I was there a while ago, they were just starting to do the whole casino thing. So there is that element. But also, though, more importantly, in my opinion, they have this Native American history museum there that, quite honestly, I could have spent days in. It is the most thorough and amazing museum. I want everyone in the world to go to this museum. Oh God, it talks about so much. I mean, it talks about so many tribes that are never given a voice, never identified. As far as American history is concerned, there's like 20 tribes that people might be able to name, but 20 is not even, that's not even the tip of the iceberg, my friend. And just the artifacts they have, the amount of knowledge, their street signs are written in Cherokee. Like they've reclaimed their language. They've reclaimed their culture in a way that I think I would like to see other tribes be able to emulate what the Cherokee have done in North Carolina. Their schools are taught in Cherokee for the Native kids. It's such a great town. E-music, actually, I figured you probably did. But, so many people just assume Cherokee is an Oklahoma thing. And it's like, actually, I mean, yeah, it is now. But North Carolina, too. Who'd have thunk it? I was really surprised. I was like, wait, what? North Carolina, up in the mountains, Cherokee. If y'all are ever in that area of the world, I strongly suggest you go out of your way to go check out this museum in Cherokee. I wish I could elucidate all of the everythings that make me say this to you, but just go. I mean, my sister made fun of me because I had to watch the intro. Like, you're supposed to sit and watch an intro movie before you go through the exhibits. And so I sat and watched the intro movie twice because the first time that I watched it, I couldn't stop crying because of the myth of the water beetle. And so, yeah, the water beetle. I just love the story of the water beetle. Anyway, so that's me. So Cherokee, North Carolina. And Cherokee, North Carolina, not very hot, by the way. It got to be like 80 degrees there, and the locals were complaining that it was too hot. So I liked that a lot. So, E-music, in 2015, you took a Greyhound from Wisconsin to Los Angeles. Well, then you know what I'm talking about, right? I mean, that is a reality check of huge proportions. Hanging out in bus stations really is an eye-opener to what the world can be, for sure. Right, yeah, Terry, exactly. I don't really believe in past lives, but then some things seem way too familiar, and so it's like, what else is there to explain it? I'm so glad you understand my nebulous belief system. It's just like, this doesn't really make much sense, and it contradicts each other. But here you go. That's what we're doing. Okay, Kenny, so you've actually been to Muskogee, Oklahoma, which, by the way, I called it something completely different on a stream earlier. Sorry about that. Muskogee, Oklahoma, the town famed in story and song. Yes, that is true. It's about as exciting as room temperature tap water. Well, depending upon where you get that room temperature tap water, that can be really exciting because some areas tap water you can light on fire. I don't know if that's anywhere near Muskogee, Oklahoma, but folks who have those contaminated wells, all of a sudden it's like, I didn't think my water was supposed to be flammable, and yet here we are. Then again, though, I guess once the water's flammable, it's no longer room temperature. Speaking of room temperature tap water, actually, big news. I got my sink fixed. No, I did not get my dishwasher fixed. I'm still waiting for the part. But I got my sink fixed, which means if and when I do get my dishwasher fixed, I will be able to actually run it because the sink is no longer leaking underneath my kitchen sink, which is fantastic. So there's that. But let's see here. eMusic is saying something fairly important here. Total, which actually I think you mean today, is the International Day of Truth and Recognition. Its purpose is to recognize the Indigenous children and Native American and Canadians impacted by genocide. That is correct. And I believe in Canada, they're making a much bigger deal out of this day than they are in the United States. In fact, I wasn't aware of, I knew today was supposed to be the first word. Yep, eMusic, I'm on the same page. I knew what you meant. I was not aware of this until earlier today on my Facebook feed. One of my Derby friends and real life friends that I met through Derby, she's an Alaskan Native, and her grandparents had been removed from their home and sent to the tribal schools in Alaska. And that's just her grandparents right there. That's how close in generation we are to what our country put upon people and ended up, I guess what I'm trying to say is the continuation of the genocide that for hundreds of years we had been committing on our indigenous population really only directly ended not but 2 generations ago. There's plenty to be said for arguing it's still going on in a different way. But the native schools and in fact, actually one of my best friends to this day in high school, his grandma was born on the reservation in 1921, I think it was. And when she was born, she and her mother and her family and everyone was considered a prisoner of war. Because of the Indian Wars that were being fought all across this country. Oftentimes people only think of the Indian Wars as like a Dakotas thing, but the Puget Sound area had Indian Wars. In fact, the county that I grew up in, Kitsap County, was named after the Native American who killed this guy named Slaughter, and Slaughter was some general or whatever, and he was very highly renowned, and the county that I grew up in was supposed to be named Slaughter County. But then when he got killed in the Indian Wars in Renton is just by SeaTac and like 5 miles from my house. When he got killed in the Indian Wars in Renton, Kitsap was the one who killed him. And so the town or the county got named Kitsap, which frankly I think is kind of awesome. But this is definitely not, the only reason why I know that history is because of roller derby, and the Slaughter County Roller Vixens was the roller derby team from Kitsap County, and that was part of their name history lesson or whatever. But yeah, this is a day that we really should recognize. I mean, as a country, we really do need to, come to terms with our own history and get with the program here. So let's see here. There are several tribal nations around you. You've met many older adults who were placed in these schools. They're all scarred. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. E-music. I don't know. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie. It's called Pow Wow Highway, and there's this. It's about. Oh God. There's a Native American actor who used to be on a soap opera that, like, if you saw his face, you're like, oh yeah, I know who that actor is. He's in the movie. That's so helpful. Anyway, there's a scene in the movie where a younger guy in on the Pine Ridge Reservation goes to his grandma to ask for some advice, and grandma is basically just like, all you young kids come to me for Indian wisdom, and I ain't got none, and it took me, I would say, probably 5 or 6 times of watching that movie before that finally hit me by what she meant in regards to that. The movie, if you've never seen it, Pow Wow Highway, is a great movie. It's a tearjerker, so keep that in mind. But it does have a happy ending. But it's a tearjerker. Yeah, the tribal schools ripped a knowledge base away from an entire generation of people, and effectively, not effectively, but almost broke a chain irreparably. But luckily, luckily tribes are reclaiming their identities, basically, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I'm very thankful that, that they're still able to. So, yeah. So going to a completely different topic, because we scatter back and forth like that. Kenny, when your pops was overseas, your mom and us kids used to take the Greyhound from Killeen to visit your uncle in New Orleans. Those were awesome trips that sparked your love of road trips. Yeah, road trips are pretty awesome. And that's not too, that's actually not a short road trip, but that's not the worst. Because Killeen isn't, actually, you know what? I don't know where Killeen is. So Killeen might be in West Texas. And if you have to go all the way across Texas on a bus, that is pretty awful. E.T., you rode a bus from Portland to Eugene. The guy sitting in the window seat seemed nice, but he was dusty dirty. He told me not to smile too much, be more careful of strangers. Then he got off at the next stop. Damn good advice there, Elaine. Exactly. Don't be too kind to strangers. The buses are... Yeah, man, you got to be on your guard when you're on the buses. You never, especially if you're alone, like it is way better to travel in pairs when you're on the bus. Cause yeah, you got to watch your back. You got to watch your stuff. For sure. Okay, so Killeen is northeast of Austin, about halfway between Austin and Waco. Yeah, okay. That's not too bad of a road trip to New Orleans, but still, back when you were doing it, there wasn't air conditioning, so I hope it wasn't during the summer that you guys did that, because that sounds hot. Of course, everything in that area sounds hot in the summer. Jim, yes, the Green Tortoise bus from Bellingham to Eugene. I never took it, but believe me, I heard all about it. And actually, no, I think the Green Tortoise goes all the way to San Francisco, because I've stayed in the Green Tortoise hostel in San Francisco. In fact, that's the only hostel I've ever stayed at. I've stayed there twice. So, yeah, E.T., way different from the bus rides in Hawaii. But yeah, no, I think the Green Tortoise, Jim, by the way, good to see you here. Thanks for showing face. I think the Green Tortoise went all the way from Bellingham, Western State University, through down, blah, blah, blah. And then, yeah, all the way to San Francisco. Yeah, I had a friend actually who was staying in the Green Tortoise Youth Hostel and on a trip. Yeah, you got to take off your shoes. That's right. You got to take off your shoes. I did know that. I did know that. Um it sounded like by the time I was in college, they were a little bit more uptight about things and stuff on the Green Tortoise. Um, but it sounded like back in the day, that would have been a really great uh way to get to San Francisco. And we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, sounds like it would have been super fun. But oh, hey, Poppy Shaney. Good to see you. It's okay. Don't worry. Everybody's showing up when they can show up. No hurries, no worries. Life gets in the way. Um, yeah, exactly, Jim. It sounded like it was a party. Exactly. And by the time the 90s came around, because I was in college in 91 through 95, by the time the 90s came around, they were a smidge more uptight from what I mean, it wasn't like Greyhound, but it wasn't like it was in the 80s either. So yeah, Kenny, okay, so it was in the summer when you took that Killeen bus ride trip from Killeen to New Orleans. Oh, yeah, see, that sounds just a little stuffy for me. But I drove across what is it? The Mojave Desert in a 67 Plymouth Fury with no air conditioning, and if the windows are open, it's actually, it's a dry heat. It's not really that bad. Which, well, actually, New Orleans is not a dry heat, so what am I talking about? But yeah, there you go. That just sounds hot, dude. It just sounds hot. Yeah, it was fun, says Jim. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and Eugene's a pretty town. Eugene's a fun town. Although I've heard recently in the last couple years that there's a bunch of wild turkeys that have kind of like taken to downtown Eugene and sort of harass people, which I think is awesome. And I also think, like, if I had to choose any town that I'm less surprised at wild turkeys deciding they ruled the streets, I would say Eugene or Olympia, Washington would probably be the two. Like, yeah, that tracks. Like, yeah, I can see how that would happen. Yeah, totally. Yeah, Jim McKinnon, New Orleans is a swamp. Yes, yes, it is a swamp. It's built on a filled up swamp, and that Lake Ponta, whatever the heck. I mean, seriously, I was reading an article once about how game developers and people who like create landscapes and fantasy maps and worlds, for a living, the lake that's outside of New Orleans and the bridge across it, literally, like, nowhere ever would anyone create that because it's so unrealistic. Like, you don't build a lake, you don't build a bridge, the far up from the there was a whole article on like everything that is wrong with how New Orleans is laid out and how it's just like you just wouldn't build a city like that. But they did, and there you have it. So, yeah. You have a protected wild turkey flock here in Caparis Cove. So, like they're so like they're town turkeys. Like, do they? Okay, first off, I didn't know that there was wild turkeys in Texas. I don't know why I think of them as like colder, tree-y, forestier area kind of thing. Well, actually, I know that the reason why I think that is because that's where I've always seen them. But okay, so turkeys in Texas, and like the turkeys are just like what they hang out in the park or whatever. Like, what? Tell me more about your turkeys, Kenny. I'm a little confused. Yeah, Jim, I've heard about the funky downtown business district, and yeah, different than the French Quarter, totally. Yeah, in fact, actually, the French Quarter, I mean, obviously, architecturally speaking, and vibe, etc. I would like to check it out, but it really seems like I would want to get out of there just as quickly as I got in there. Like it just seems a little overblown. I can't imagine it's as cool as everybody says it is, but then again, it might be as cool as everybody says it is, and that's why everybody says it's so flippin' cool. I do want to check out the Garden District though, just for the houses and things like that. I've heard, but then again, the Garden District is probably the only reason why I think of it is because of Anne Rice, and she makes it sound so beautiful. I just really want to see if it's just as beautiful as she says. So, okay, you have turkeys around, but for some reason, Cindy Krause, I don't know why turkeys in your area don't freak me out as much as turkeys in Texas. Because, like, you're kind of, there's mountains near you. And turkeys live in the mountains or something. In my head, they do. Because that's where I ran into a flock of wild turkeys up on the same mountain that I ran into the moose, actually. Different time of year, but I spent a lot of time in that mountain in Idaho. And yeah. So, okay, so they're town and country turkeys. They struck roost and fly wherever they fly. Okay. So I guess that includes, like, the park and stuff, which is probably why they're protected, because the last thing a city wants is people going on a turkey shoot in the middle of a city park. That would be awkward. Sorry, children. It's hunting season. Tom is no longer breathing, but he's gonna be tasty. Terry Gilmore, you rode Amtrak from LA to Florida, stalled for hours outside of Pensacola waiting for hurricane damage assessment on tracks. No AC. Oh no, very hot and humid. Thought we'd all melt in our train cars. Okay, you know what? A train trip has always sounded very romantical in some way, because romantical is a word in my head. It just sounds so idyllic, and you have just wiped any and all wonderfulness out of my brain. It's all I can think of now is, well, wait, what if it stops? What if it stops and there's no air conditioning? There's no air conditioning? What if it stops and there's no air conditioning? No. 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 Did I mention no? Because that's where I'm at right now. Okay, Jim. Oh, interesting. Okay, so wild turkeys. Wow, see, I am like completely clueless about all this. This is why I love it when people are just like, are you sure you know what you're talking about? And they clap back with like facts and things like this. Wild turkeys range from Mexico to Canada, mostly in the east. California and Washington have them too. Yeah, Idaho does too. I've seen them in Idaho. That's where I think of when I think of wild turkeys. I think of booze and I think of Idaho. And honestly, when I think of Idaho, I also think of booze. So it just goes right back to booze. Yeah. Kenny Casey, not just parks, but people's yards, trees, and gardens too. Oh, that's why they have to protect them. Right, of course, because, yeah, okay, right. It's not the parks that Tom might get tasty. It's the backyard barbecue that Tom might. Got it. Right. Yeah, the Amtrak from Sacramento to Reno through the Sierras in the winter is truly breathtaking. I have no doubt in my mind, and honestly, it's those kind of train trips that I would like to take, because it's just like there's no way I would make this drive. I mean, through the mountains in the winter. Are you flirpin' kidding me? Not to mention also the rail goes in places the road doesn't. But yeah, that route sounds phenomenal. And then also the one that I think it goes like from Seattle or maybe Vancouver, British Columbia, it goes Seattle to Los Angeles. I think it's like the coastal starlight or something. I don't know. That one sounds like it's really pretty too. But it also sounds really like that one's really long, whereas yours sounds way more not long. Because that's a sentence that makes sense. Yours sounds in it like a time frame that I would be much more amenable to. Because I can only imagine Papi Shani, what? From From Sacramento to Reno, like what? That's 24 hours maybe or something like that for the trip. Um So I don't know if you're making a joke here. Just had a derailment in Montana because Boise rocks. See, because the rocks got on the no. Boise actually, Meridian, which is right outside of Boise, is a suburban hellscape that no one should ever visit. Boise, on the other hand, is a really cute little town. I was not expecting to like Boise nearly as much. I was super shocked to find out how Boise is, for the most part, like, okay, so Idaho is really weird. The southern part of Idaho, where Boise is for all intents and purposes northern Utah. Like, it is controlled by the Mormon Church. I was shocked at how much control the Mormon Church had in the Boise and surrounding areas. But once you get up into the panhandle of Idaho, up in the mountains, up where bad things have been known to happen back in the 80s, white supremacy wise. But once you get up there, that's where all like the hunters and the mountain folk live, and they don't really care for the Mormon Church. So, and that the panhandle is where I knew most of my Idaho people. That's where I ran into the bear, ran into the moose, ran into the turkeys, up there in that area in the Sawtooth mountain range, and around Lolo Pass type thing. So, like, mountain folk are different than church folk, in case you don't know. So when I went to Boise, I was really surprised. Like, it was very churchy. But despite that weirdness, the downtown core is one of the cutest little downtowns one of the cutest, most adorable downtowns you ever did see. It's, and it's really easy to get, like, it's a well thought out little town. It's not a little town. It's the capital city, for goodness sake. But it's way better laid out than Washington State's capital city, where I lived for 6 years. And let me tell you, I knew my way around Boise quicker than I learned my way around Olympia, and lived there for 6 flipping years. Yeah. Okay, so Boise, I would not say that Boise is like Austin at all, actually. In fact, I would sort of venture to say it's almost the opposite in regards to, well, Idaho's just one big red state anyway, I guess. But it is a cute town like Austin. And I suppose as far as Idaho towns go, it's probably as close to Austin as you're going to get. Oh, but speaking of towns in Idaho, now I'm breaking a rule here. It's in eastern Idaho, southeast Idaho, and it's called, oh shoot, what is it called? It's called Lava Hot Springs, I think is what it's called. Or else it's called Hot Springs. I'm pretty sure it's Lava Hot Springs. And it is this tiny little town that on one end of the town is a hot spring. And on the other end of the town is a water park. Now, this is a tiny town. Like, I'm talking like 8 square blocks, or whatever. It's a small little town. But it's an old town, and it's got a couple brick hotels, 3 or 4 stories, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, the hot spring is really built up. And there's, a whole rec center sort of built around it. And then the hot spring there's a river that goes through the town that the hot spring feeds into. And then that water is the water that flows into the water park. So by the time it gets to the water park, it's not like when it comes out of the ground, it is so hot. You literally cannot go to that part of I could not go to that part of the pool. It was I have no idea how hot it was. I mean, more than 120 degrees kind of hot. I mean, it was hot. But by the time it goes through town and hits the water park, it's nice and, 80 degrees. It's nice and warm. But yeah, it's super cute little town. Has a fancy French restaurant, blah, blah, blah. not many people know about it. And we hung out in that town for a couple days and, hung out with the locals, and the locals were like, don't tell anybody about this town. So I didn't for like a decade, but here I am now telling you about it. So if you're ever in southeastern Idaho and you're near the town called Lava Hot Springs and it's like, oh, I don't know, maybe we should go stop there for whatever, totally go stop there. It's a cute little town, like really worth, I mean, destination, hard to say, but certainly worth a stopover on the way to Yellowstone. Because Yellowstone, because if you go that route, you can go through Tetons, which is what we did, and then up through to Yellowstone, Jackson Hole, etc. And in that whole area actually is full of all sorts of geysers and hot springs and this and everything, because basically it's all connected to the stuff that's going on in Yellowstone. The Yellowstone caldera has slowly moved over this continent, or rather, this continent has slowly moved over a stationary hotspot, which is what is creating Yellowstone. And so it's a very large system, even outside of the huge caldera that is Yellowstone. I learned this from Nick Zentner. He's a geologist for Central Washington University. And so, Boise does have breweries and a good school and is fairly laid back for being so ruled by the Mormons. I was amazed at how many times a local responded to something like, I would ask, well, why do you do it this way? Or why aren't you allowed this? Or why blah, blah, blah. And the answer inevitably was, oh, because the Mormon church won't let that happen. Oh, because the Mormon church wouldn't blah. Oh, because no, the Mormon church doesn't allow that. Oh, because the Mormon, it's like, dude, you guys are not, this isn't Utah, dude. We're in Idaho. Why does the answer that I'm getting to all of my questions is always, well, the Mormon church? Are you kidding me? Yeah. I was very surprised that Boise was so, because it's a college town, right? And college towns generally, even in the reddest of states, college towns have a tendency to be a smidge on the more liberal side. I don't know. So yeah. Oh, is Central Washington home of the Eagles? I don't know about that, but I did the Ellensburg Eagles, but I do know that, I really like Nick Zentner and all of his lectures, and Ellensburg is a very cute town. I've had some good times in Ellensburg. I rode the Yakima River on an inner tube outside of Ellensburg, and yeah, it was memorable for reasons that, for reasons. Yeah, I know there's a ton of Mormons on the Hawaiian Islands. The Mormons are behind the Polynesian Cultural Center, and I'll tell you right now, when you're in Hawaii and you ask somebody, well, why don't you do it that way? The answer is never going to be because of the Mormon church. I mean, yeah, I know there is a huge number of Mormons in Hawaii, just as there's a huge Pacific Islander population in Salt Lake City, because a lot of Pacific Islanders are Mormon. Absolutely. But I've never, ever once heard anyone in Hawaii say, oh, well, we don't do this because of the Mormon church. Like, that is what got me about Boise, was how many times the answer was, oh, the Mormon church, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, what? You're not in Utah, man. Yeah, I was just really surprised. That's all. I mean, it's probably similar to if someone came to my town growing up. It's like, well, why do you do it this way? It's like, well, the military. It's like, the military doesn't necessarily rule anything. It just dominates the culture and dictates how it works. So, But no, but Jim, I don't know how many Hawaiians or Mormons are on the Hawaiian Islands, but yeah, there's quite a bit. Oh, really? Oh, that's right, Terry. I forgot. Ellensburg. You've got roots there. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, and I knew, yeah, and then Jim McKinnon, yeah, Arizona has their own flavor of Mormons that cross the border because It's so funny. The Mormons that like fled Utah to go to Arizona, it's because Utah was too liberal and they were like, no, we need to stay with the old ways. I mean, that's both hysterical and frightening. But yeah, luckily the stray Mormons, the Mormons that strayed into Boise are not the same flavor that strayed into Arizona. So, you bring up a good point. I suppose I should be, I should be very stoked for Boise in that way. You went on a tour of a Mormon temple in Hawaii. They claim a Mormon discovered Hawaii. Okay. Okay. I mean, I guess, all I can say is, yeah, the Mormons claim a lot of things. Religions claim a lot of things. I didn't know that they... Really, a Mormon discovered Hawaii, huh? I didn't... Okay. That's funny because I thought that there were people living on the islands before Mormonism even was a Mormonism. But that's okay. That's okay. But hey, Amy's like, actually, so you actually went on a tour of a Mormon temple? Because I didn't think that people who weren't are you Mormon? Like, because I thought you had to be Mormon to go to the temple. Like, you had to legit, like, no guests allowed. Like, you have to be with the right underwear and the whole nine to get to go to the temple. Like, not everybody can go inside a flippin' temple. Or maybe they can, and I'm wrong, and I'm totally making that up. I'm open to that possibility. Way open to that possibility. So yeah, tell me, music, how did you get into the temple, or at the time, were you allowed in, or what? I mean, I guess you don't have, that's kind of a personal question now that I think about it. I'm asking if you're Mormon, and maybe you don't want to talk about that. But if you feel like answering that question, I'm very curious how you were able to get to be a tour in the temple. Oh, Jim McKinnon watched the South Park version of Book of Mormon. Okay, wait, I don't know if you're talking about the South Park cartoon episode or if you're talking about the musical that the South Park writers made, because wasn't it Matt and Trey from South Park that wrote the musical that is performed on stage called The Book of Mormon? I've never seen that, but I have seen the South Park's cartoon version of how the Book of Mormon, and it's funny. I mean, the only one that's even better is the Scientology one that they did, that they didn't do, because no one put their name on that episode because they were afraid of getting sued. South Park, that Mormon episode was pretty funny. I mean, if I was a Mormon, I probably would not think it was that funny, but I'm not, so, there you go. Right, exactly, Kenny Casey. It's like the Mormons discovered Hawaii. I bet you don't hear any Native Hawaiians telling that story. Yeah, exactly. I mean, really? Because, yeah, I thought that there was some Hawaiians living on these islands before, what was his name? Jacob Smith or whatever, before he was even born. Okay, so in 77, you went on the tours they give. Okay, cool. I guess that they were a little more open, or I don't know what I'm talking about in regards to the temple, which I think we all know. I don't know what I'm talking about. Speaking of which, actually, the other day, last time we were talking, when I was going off about the hockey tickets and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so as it turns out, Dell was kind of right, I was kind of right, but I was mostly wrong. So I want to clarify. So to repeat, if you weren't here, I was talking about the cheapest seats that let's rewind a little bit further. So Seattle just got a brand new hockey franchise for the NHL called the KRAKEN, and they've got a brand new refurbished old stadium that, the Climate Pledge Arena is what it's called. And that's their home arena. The cheapest seats at the home arena for the KRAKEN was $650. And you guys were just like, that is bull. You are a liar. And no, actually I wasn't, but I was confused. So for the first month of the KRAKEN season, so through the month of October, the seats are ridiculously stupid. I mean, stupid. And the cheapest seat is like in that range. I think $580, but once you add all the fees, it adds up to the $650. But once November hits, everything gets more realistic, and the cheapest seats are like $125, $150, something like that. So I was sort of right-ish for a minute, but for most of the season, that's not true. The cheapest seats are actually like $150, which is still way too expensive for my blood, but not as offensive as $650. So, I wanted to clear that up because there was a bunch of people who were like, you cannot possibly know what you're talking about. And as it turns out, those people were kind of right. So always fact check me, Google me, push back a little bit. And when I realize just how wrong I was, I will fully admit it. In this case, I was a smidge right, but mostly wrong. And so I wanted to just get that clear. Yeah. And so, all right. So, Jim, about hold on. I think you said, percentage wise, Hawaii is number 6 in numbers of its LDS members. That doesn't surprise me. I'm going to assume that like Utah is probably number 1. And so Deb, though, okay, so your daughter-in-law is Mormon and said you had to be worthy to enter the temple. South Park was hilarious. Yes, that, I think most of us here at least can agree the South Park episode about Mormonism was pretty flippin' funny. So I wonder though, like, worthy, does that, I wonder, how do you define worthy, I guess, is what I'm wondering. Jim McKinnon, the KRAKEN, that's funny, refurbished dump. The Key Arena is too old. It's not a world-class venue. Well, they've completely torn the Key Arena apart. They gutted it. As I mentioned in the last stream, the roof line of the Key Arena, formerly the Coliseum, holds landmark status. It's a Seattle landmark. So they can never fully tear down the building. That roof line always needs to remain. I don't know how a roof line gets to be a landmark status. I don't know. But the roof is a landmark. So the roof line is still there. So technically speaking, the building is still the same building, but they completely gutted it and have done whatever it is. Super high-end restaurants, like several different sushi places. I think there's a couple different like Scotch bars. There's a cigar room. It is the people that I know that have worked on the construction of it, and like the people who are familiar with the vendors that are moving into the facility, it is very clear that this is a high dollar market that they are courting, shall we say. Not a whole lot of Pabst Blue Ribbon types. Definitely microbrews, but beyond microbrews, it's, single malt Scotch bars type of thing is what's going on at that silly arena. So there's that. And I'm not convinced that the arena is, I'm not convinced the arena is going to be that nice, but, I didn't really think that there was anything wrong with the original Coliseum either. So, but then again, I only went to rock shows at that venue. So let's see here. Okay. So eMusic lets us know the Mormon story is that a man named Hawaii Loa took a canoe there. That's how Hawaii got its name. Hopefully they are no longer teaching that story so much on the internet to disprove that. Oh my, yes, hopefully they are not. But there's religions out there, Protestant religions, that insist that the world is only 6,000 years old and that dinosaurs, I think, were at the same time as Adam and Eve or whatever it is they're teaching like that. So I don't know. And we still have the internet to prove all that wrong. So who knows what they're teaching, right? So, okay, Jim, Utah number 1, Idaho number 2. I'm not surprised. And that kind of goes to support like what I was talking about with Boise. Like, what in the flying fork is the problem here, you guys? You're not Utah. Then Wyoming, Nevada, Arizona, and then Hawaii. Interesting. I didn't expect. Wow. So, oh, interesting. Okay, so I've so many thoughts going through my head. I did not expect Nevada to be on this list, period, end of story. I am now wondering, since Wyoming is number 3, and Wyoming is such a small populated, like it's our least populated state, I think. I wonder what the percentage of Wyomingians, the people who live in Wyoming, whatever you call them, I wonder what percentage of people are Mormon in the state of Wyoming. That's what I'm trying to say. Not saying it well, but that's what I'm wondering. So, hey, Belly Bear, good to see you. Trying to order through Groupon with credit. I've never used Groupon, so I can't even help you with that. Kenny Casey, does that roofline appear in the Seattle skyline outline at the beginning of every episode of Frasier? It's been so long since I saw Frasier that I can't answer that question, but it does. I think the reason why it is landmark status is because it's part of an original large structure of the Seattle Center. The Seattle Center that was built for the World's Fair. The Seattle Center is where the Space Needle is located. The Seattle Center is where the Seattle Science Center is located. And there's some distinct visual cues that create sort of the perimeter of the Seattle Center. One of them obviously is the iconic needle, duh. But then there's these strange arches for the Seattle Science Center, and then there's the very large roof of the Coliseum. And when viewed from Queen Anne Hill, it sort of creates this tableau that is somewhat iconic and in many, many, many a picture. Whether or not that's the same skyline that is on Frasier, I literally have no idea. Oh yeah, eMusic and everybody who's hit the like button, thank you so much. And of course, I see social media is just not my best strong point. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, by all means, hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell. Notification bell is a little iffy as to whether or not it works. I have no control over that. So, we're going to hope that YouTube gets with the program on that one. But yeah, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you'll be good to go. Cindy, oh, thank you so much for reminding me this. Now, this is it's the big downer. So I have not decided what movie we're seeing this weekend because I don't have a movie accessible yet. So I'm thinking we might need to call this Saturday off. I'm going to do some technical restructurings. I need to basically get some more room on my computer to download some movies. I need to figure out which software I'm going to get so I can download some movies. But basically right now I don't have any movie that I can show. Now, let me get my list. What I can tell you though is this. Actually, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take a sip of something. There we go. What I can tell you is this. The movies that I have ooh, sorry about that. The movies that I have for October are October options are, hey Curtis, good to see you swing in. We are talking a lot about, well, oddly enough, we somehow got on the subject of Mormons. We were talking about Boise. We were talking about Hot Springs. We're talking about lots of things, but now we're talking about Saturday and what we're most likely not going to do on Saturday, but we might do on Saturday. So in theory, we have Statterbox at the cinema, but right now Statterbox at the cinema might have to be on hold for a week, unless if somebody can get me a copy of that I can stream, or that like if somebody has a copy of any of these movies that they can file transfer to me, I have a file transfer protocol that we can use. I can totally hook you up. Um, uh, for you to download it onto my system. If we don't have anyone who has these as options, then I'm going to put off Statterbox at the Cinema for a week, and then I'll come back the next week and I'll be able to do something. But if somebody has Addams Family, Beetlejuice, Goonies, Hocus Pocus, Witches of Eastwick, or Young Frankenstein, those were the ones that kept coming up, that were suggested on all the times that we were talking about things. So for October movies, if somebody has a copy of Addams Family, Beetlejuice, Goonies, Hocus Pocus, Witches of Eastwick, or Young Frankenstein, and if we can get it to my computer by Saturday, then we will do Statterbox at the Cinema, and we'll just have to find out which movie it is. But if we cannot, then we're going to have to put off Statterbox for the cinema for a week, and I will come back raring to go with new technology, etc. I suddenly am understanding why Andy decided he needed to take some time off in order to get things revamped. I don't have any downloading movie type software yet. I need to do some research on that, and as I think we all know here, just because I have the tech doesn't mean the tech cooperates with me or I know how to use it right. So I want to give myself, even if like I got off the stream right now and went and downloaded some stuff, I might need to give myself a little few days to figure out how the flying fork to work it. So that is that is the game plan for right now, which is really not much of a game plan at all. It's more like we might have to forfeit, but we'll see if we can get some temporary players to come fill in the team. We might not have to forfeit. So there you go. So wait, Jim McKinnon, did I know that Friday Harbor is named after a Hawaiian? No, I did not. And I'm assuming the Hawaiian's name was Friday? You want to tell me about that story? I mean, I believe you. I know that that voice sounded a little incredulous. I didn't mean it that way. No, I don't know. I did not know that. And what, the dude's name was Friday? Like, huh? 67,000 Mormons in Wyoming. That's a significant population, because I don't think that there's more. I don't think that Wyoming has, I want to say that that's like 10% of their population. I don't think Wyoming has even 1 million people. Like, I think Wyoming's, this last census was like not much over 500,000 people. But you know what? We know what happens when I say, I think. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't. 67,000 Mormons in Wyoming in 1962. Oh, well, then that statistic is not that. Wyoming has lost in the last like 2 or 3 censuses. Wyoming has lost a ton of population. So 62, that's way out of date. Curtis, yeah, we've got 6 weeks of Statterbox Theater as long as we've got the theater, right? You know, yeah, I figured, and we might not have all 6 weeks of them, because who knows, might not be able to find all those movies, but for sure we have enough movies to last all the month of October, except for the very first weekend of October, which is actually this weekend. And so, sorry about that, guys. I really did like the idea of doing neat, spooky stuff for the entire month of October, but as it turns out, we might not be able to do that. So, so there you go. And no, I had no idea that, really. So, E-Music, the guy who wrote The Creature of the Black Lagoon lived in Hilo. I did not know that at all. I honestly feel like I've never even seen that movie, and I'm assuming there's a book instead as well, but I don't think I've ever seen that movie. I think I've just seen clips of it from, well, probably like from other movies that were about the 1950s, now that I think about it. Um, the, wait, what? They had the Wild Mouse roller coaster? Um, uh, well, I don't know who they is. I don't know what a Wild Mouse roller coaster is. I'm going to assume somewhere in Wyoming they had the Wild Mouse roller coaster. Um, North Dakota has a little over 300,000 people. Wow. Curtis, that's so wow. That's so tiny. That's so empty. That's just as far as the eye can see. That's just empty. Trippy. Um, North Dakota has 11,000 Mormons. Rank is number 14. Yeah, I'm not that surprised actually that North Dakota has some Mormons. It seems like the Mormons really do enjoy the rugged left Western life in some ways. All those folks. But we actually have plenty city Mormons out here as well. In fact, there's a down the street from my house. Well, okay, it's a little more than down the street. It's like maybe 2 miles from my house. We've got a Mormon stake center, and I'm still not sure what a stake center is, but apparently one of my ex-Mormon friends, still a friend, he just used to be Mormon, said that a stake center is like where a bunch of the different churches get together or something. It's not the temple, because the temple's a big deal, and I don't think there's a temple in our area. Yeah, I don't know. All I know is the stake center is very crowded a lot whenever I drive by there. So clearly there are a lot of Mormon people that go to whatever the stake center is. And it's STAKE, not the kind that you eat, the kind that you kill vampires with. And I don't, although actually that's it's not really what I mean. That's how you spell it. I have no idea what stake means in the context that they're using it. It's just a stake center. It's what the sign says. That's all I can tell you. So, Jim McKinnon, so North Dakota has about 5,000 medical marijuana patients. So about 6% of the population, I guess, is actually, I don't know if that's how that works. I was not sure if I want to do the math now, but, I'm glad that North Dakota allows for medical marijuana. It's just a silly, honestly, actually, I mean, the medical marijuana, it's a bit of a ruse in the sense that just let people use it for whatever reason. I mean, yes, it does work for medical reasons. Absolutely. I'm not saying that that's the ruse. It's just, good Lord, why do people have to prove that they're sick in order to get access to a silly flower? Because we're talking about a flower here, I mean, come on, people. That's what I mean by the ruse. I'm not implying that people are faking their illnesses. Yeah. So let's see here. eMusic. Maurice Zimmerman lived in LA but moved to Hilo to raise his family in 1993. He wrote a very good play about Queen Liliuokalani. Oh, okay. I don't know if I've ever heard of Maurice Zimmerman, but sounds like he's a playwright. So Pink Flamingos has a good Boise reference. Gosh, I haven't seen Pink Flamingos in I don't even know how many decades. So I absolutely do not remember what that reference would be. But oh, John Waters. I just love his sense of humor. Not a huge fan of the infamous scene in Pink Flamingos, but I have to say I really like I've seen more John Waters movies than most people, I think. Yeah. Hold on, wait. Curtis. You have a friend who's a goose rancher? Well, that sounds like a dangerous job, first off. He has a couple growers who are Hooterite. I don't know what that is. Oh, Hooterite, but kind of Amish, but more fun. That's because hemp is now legal. So there you go. Nice. Now, I think whenever I go to, and I've been to Old Faithful many times. And whenever I go to Old Faithful, I always see the women in the bonnets and the stockings and the Little House on the Prairie dresses. And I always wonder, like, okay, so is that Amish? Is that Mennonite? Now it's like, what is it? Hooterite? Like, how do you, Curtis, do you know how to tell them apart? And this isn't a joke, even though it totally sounded like a joke when I delivered that question. This is a legit question. Like, how do you, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter, but like, is there a way that, like, oh no, that's not a Mennonite, that's fully an Amish person, or, oh no, only the Hooterites wear the green stockings because everybody else thinks green is a sin or something, is there... Yeah. You know what I'm asking? Even though I'm not really asking it very well. So, okay. So it was a dude. Okay. So Friday Harbor was named Joe Friday. And, okay. And he was a Hawaiian sheep herder. All right then. Okay. There you have it. Oh, Maurice was the one who wrote The Creature of the Black Lagoon. Gotcha. A Halloween classic. I had a feeling that guy probably was that guy, but I wasn't really sure because I didn't know. So there we go. Glad we connected those dots. Oh, he's in northern South Dakota. Got it. Oh, the 1962 time. Oh, yeah, is the Space Needle and the Seattle Center. Exactly. Hey, CHAK, you're home from, I'm assuming, your practice and stuff. I was going to say rehearsal, but that's not what sports people call it. So yeah, you're home from your thing. I saw you today on Twitch and you had 21 people watching your stream. You have turned into quite the Twitch streamer, which is really funny considering how adverse you were to getting on camera so many months ago when Andy suggested things and stuff. Now suddenly you're the star of your own flipping show. I mean, you've been carrying the weight on this, on that, keeping that slot warm. It's just amazing. So yeah, Belly Bear, you don't have to have, right. Yeah. Washington, you don't have to have a medical note from a doctor either. Just, yeah, state recreation and sign up. You don't even need to sign up. You just in Washington, you just walk into the weed store, show them your ID that you're 21 and they let you in to buy the stuff. It's great. But yeah, exactly. It helps you. Yeah. Before and after the cancers. Like I said, I was not implying that people who need marijuana medically are lying because there is a medical need. It's just silly to keep it as a medical only industry, I guess. It's just, yeah. Oh, okay. The Fun Forest in Seattle Center had the wild mouse. Gotcha. See, I was not in the Seattle Center mindset when you were talking about all these things. Okay, so that Fun Forest has been torn down for a long, long time now. And I'm not going to tell you what replaced it because quite honestly, I can't. It's been gone so long, I can't even remember where it was. But the Fun Forest doesn't exist anymore. The arcades don't exist anymore. All that carnival-esque stuff has all been removed. The mural amphitheater is still there. But yeah. Let's see here. So yeah, okay, yeah, two conversations. The 1962 was World's Fair. The numbers for Wyoming was current as of 2021. Awesome. All right, we are on the same page now. Oh, you're not home? Well, you better not be driving. And if you are driving, you better just be on audio, except for you're not on audio because you're typing. What am I going to do with you, CHAK? What am I going to do with you? Oh, I know what I'm going to do with you. How about this? Let's do this.
Hello, chatter statters. It's Shakalaka at Eastern Virginia on what we call Mount Chickahominy, the Chickahominy River Bridge. So called because kind of high up. You're on a bicycle. It is pretty brutal. But I'm not on a bicycle today. I'm on my trusty little red motorbike, Aqua. send this to Matt's daughter, see if she can use it.
Gall dung it. Sound. I said stuff and things and you didn't hear it. All right, so I'll say it all again. How was that? It was a drop from CHAK. If you guys want to do a drop, send them my way, madstatter@gmail.com. I'm only going to be able to make you look as good as you look yourself because I do not have any video editing prowess or skills. I might try to trim things up maybe if I'm feeling ambitious, but that's about the extent of my things and stuffuses right now. So, as you can tell, my tech prowess is such that I need to take cues from you for when, I forget to unmute myself. Yeah, Curtis, you're right. You can't hear for a minute. And eMusic, that's right. Cindy, yep, that's right. I was muted because you see, I was drinking a fancy pants. Whoops, hold on. A fancy pants Red Bull, coconut berry. It's delicious. And I didn't want you to hear me go gulp, gulp, gulp. Speaking of coconut berry, speaking of Red Bull, let's check this little roller derby video out. This particular roller derby skater is someone who I have been watching skating since she was about 15 years old. But once she got 18, she went to Portland, Oregon, and basically became one of the stars of the world-class champion team that is the Rose City Rollers. Red Bull decided she was worth a sponsorship. Well, shoot, that didn't work. Okay, never mind then. I didn't have that set up right. Yeah, we're not going to watch that video. Maybe later. That was a tease. I meant to do that. Yeah. Anyway, this girl, she was in a Red Bull commercial that you were going to see, but I've known her since she was one of these little skaters. Look at these little skaters. The little ones at the bottom are so cute. But the girl on the top with the long straight ponytails, her name's Lauren Much, and we're going to eventually one day, see a Red Bull commercial starring her. But today is not that day. So there we go. That's what we'll eventually be doing. Okay, so Kenny, is it possible that I'd have fewer copyright headaches if I went for older movies? I mean, seriously, old movies like The Blob or The First War of the Worlds or African Queen. I don't know how old some of those movies are. I do know that copyright generally lasts for about 75, 76 years. So any movie would have to be more than 75, 76 years old in order to completely avoid copyright strikes. That being said, the copyright strike isn't necessarily my issue at the moment, although it is an overriding cloud of an issue. The copyright strike is not why we're skipping out Statterbox at the cinema this Saturday. The copyright strike fear is what keeps me from keeping that Twitch stream up. Like as soon as we're done with Statterbox at the cinema, I just go and take that movie down. And honestly, with as many DJs that use copyrighted music on Twitch who get by the copyright strike by removing their video, right now, I think that's good enough. It would be nice to keep them up because it's a fun evening, but I'm right now getting the copyright strike isn't really the issue. The issue is getting a movie that I can stream, because a lot of movies that are basically if a movie's coming from a streaming service, the technology is such that the streaming service recognizes that I'm trying to stream it, and so it screws the stream up. That was the problem we had with Rollerball. How I was able to get away with it with Tampopo was because YouTube, by luck, pure luck, only luck, had a copy that was floating around, that was the full movie, that was high enough quality to stream with you guys. YouTube, for whatever reason, hadn't figured out that it was on there yet, so they didn't do anything. All of the other movies that we've watched, someone, Tom Greek actually, has given me, like, he downloaded them for me and then sent a digital copy over to my computer, and I've just been playing them from my computer. That way, no streaming software is, one streaming software isn't talking to my streaming software. My streaming software is just like, I don't know, I'm just playing a video from her computer. I don't know what I'm doing. So the issue is I don't have any movies on my computer yet. And I need to get that technology down. And so, and as we've all seen, because technology doesn't always, work with me, or I don't always work with technology well, I don't want to be like, yeah, I'm going to go, get this downloading software, because there is software out there. I mean, that's how Tom got his stuff. There's software out there you can grab stuff from the internet. I mean, it's probably not legal, but whatever. I've never let that stop me on something. So, but I don't want to get off the stream right now, go download the software, and then realize I have no idea how to use the software. I haven't figured out how to download it or where to find the movie to get there's just a whole lot of functional issues that I don't really have time to solve. Part of the reason why I don't have time to solve them is because I manage a tax office, and October 15th is the final tax deadline for personal taxes. If you didn't do your taxes on April 15th, you had 6 extra months until October 15th to file your taxes. And if you had it on extension, you'd still be considered on time. After October 15th, then you'll be late. There's no more extensions. So right now, my office is handling every single person who put off doing taxes for the last 6 months right now. And we're getting them done in the next 2 weeks. So I don't have a lot of time to fiddle with tech, because there's a bunch of tech stuff that I really need to be doing. I need to learn how to make Twitch emotes. I need to learn how to get this Statterbox of the cinema rolling. I need to learn how to edit videos. I need to learn how to, I've got a lot of stuff that I'm trying to figure out all at once. And right now, I don't have the extra time that I used to, which is why, unless someone can just sort of like spoon feed me one of those movies that I listed, I just don't see, I just cannot realistically say that this Saturday is going to be, available for the stream. And I don't want to promise something that I can't deliver. So there you go. We've got so many issues that we're scattering here. All right. So Jim clued me in with the Hooterite women. They wear a dark colored 2-piece dress with a matching apron. Okay. I think I've seen those. I think I've seen some of those chicks at the Old Faithful. And then, let's see here. African Queen was a Bogart movie that came out long before Casablanca. Okay, cool. But I don't really know, like, do you know where it streams? Do you know, there's so many, it's like I said, it's not really the copyright issue is for this coming Saturday is the least of the worries. So let's see here. So your medical marijuana card is valid in Hawaii. That's why you get a medical marijuana card. Yeah, see, we don't have medical marijuana cards in Seattle anymore or in Washington anymore, I don't think. Or no, actually, you know what? I think you do, because you're allowed to grow if you have one. Huh, yeah. Oh, well, I don't have one. So let's see here. Cindy, so maybe he has one for Saturday. Who cares what we watch? I don't know who you're talking about. I haven't heard from Tom, so I cannot say what he does or doesn't have. And I guess I suppose actually, Cindy, you bring up a good point. here's, the list of movies that I was hoping for October. Once again, for those who tuned in late, the October movies that are potentially going to be happening: Addams Family, Beetlejuice, Goonies, Hocus Pocus, Witches of Eastwick, or Young Frankenstein. So that's about 6 weeks worth of material. October, I think, only has like 5 weekends in it this month. So we're already a little bit overboard. So if anybody has digital copies that they can get to me of those movies, I can hook you up with a file transfer protocol situation and we can do that. That being said, Cindy points out, actually, I mean, all we really need is a movie, right? It's like, well, you know what, Cindy? You bring up a darn good point. All we really need is a movie, right? I mean, yeah, okay. October, we can go with the theme later, next week or whatever. But yeah, really, yeah, I mean, yeah, all we really need is a movie. So yeah, Shock, you're right. I forgot about the whole copyright not being renewed. And yeah, you're right. Disney is evil in that way, for sure. So let's see. Yeah, exactly, Curtis. I'm going to be pretty busy. And so that's why I'm trying to under promise for this Saturday. And that's why I'm literally like, I mean, I'm not trying to beg, but it's like, this will only happen on this Saturday if someone spoon feeds me a movie to show. And earlier in this stream, I was like, these are the movies I'm looking for. But it's like, why am I looking for those ones? Cindy's totally right. Just give her give a movie. It's all good. Or not. We can take a weekend off, and then the next Saturday I should have my stuff up to snuff. So let's see here. Okay, so Kenny though might be. So let's see. Mad Statter, when you get time, check out Cinema Blend. I've never heard of this place. Okay. And see if you can use that to get your movie game fixed. Okay. All right. Oh, well, no, actually, you know what? Hold on. I have the attention span of a gnat, so I wanted to write that down. Cinema Blend. Okay. I wrote it down even if I didn't say it right. Cinema Blend. I will check that out. I've never heard of that. So that might be helpful. And so Jim McKinnon, good sized population of Mennonite and Hutterites in Washington State, Lyndon, Washington, and the Tri-Cities. Yeah, actually, all along the Canadian border, there's some pretty hardcore religious communities. I mean, like to the point where it's like, oh, you guys take multiple wives kind of thing. I mean, not legally multiple wives, but like, oh, neat. I didn't know my state had that. My state does have that. That's more outside of Spokane, near the border. I can't remember what the town's name is, so I'm not going to tell you. But yeah, up there, lots of religious folk. Okay, so CHAK now is home. Okay. Yeah, Jim McKinnon, that's kind of what the Statterbox at the Cinema is sort of a Mystery Science Theater situation. In our, we hang out on Twitch and encourage people to talk, even though we're not talking, we're chatting, it's quiet. So, yeah. Yeah, cool. So it sounds like, okay, cool. So cool. You guys, yeah, now that you guys are on the same page and you understand like why it's like, I'm doing what I can, but I can't promise the whole, I cannot promise that this Saturday, and honestly, you guys, this has been weighing heavy on my head for like, well, since last Saturday, because after last Saturday, I was like, I don't really have a movie. So yeah, if someone has a movie that they want to, that they happen to have on their computer that they want to throw my way, then hit me up, madstatter@gmail.com, and we will set it up. But until then, I wouldn't hold my breath for Statterbox at the Cinema this particular Saturday, which is kind of a bummer. But that means we will get to hang out again on Sunday at 4:30 p.m. West Coast time and 1:30 p.m. on the Hawaiian Island time and 7:30 p.m. on that East Coast, midnight 30 for those in the UK. And yeah, I think that we should wrap this up. It's getting on 2 hours, and I actually only meant to do an hour and a half, so this went long. I'm so glad you guys hung out. CHAK, can I run a DVD? Good question. I don't know. And honestly, I don't even know where my DVDs are. There's one DVD that I found, and it's Little Miss Sunshine. And quite honestly, I didn't like that movie the first time, and I don't really like it. I don't want to watch it again. I suppose I could do a test live stream to see if I can live stream the DVD. I think I should be able to, maybe, I think. But I really don't know. Yeah, so that's how that is. So yeah. But you know what, Chuck? I will probably later tonight or tomorrow try to run a DVD. Because even if it's the one that I don't like, I can still see if it works. And if that's the case, I might be able to swing to my library and like figure something out. So yeah, basically, I guess what I'm saying is don't hold your breath for Saturday. And here's what I'm saying. Don't hold your breath for Saturday, but go to my Twitch channel and follow and get notified. And that way, when I do go live, you will find out. Oh, I feel like this was a whole ploy to get you to sign up to my Twitch channel, but it's actually not at all. I just realized, hey, wait, I could add this. What a great segue. But it would have been a better segue if I didn't tell you that I was doing it as a segue. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, Shock, hold your breath on Terry's live stream. The farty bus, you got it. Jim McKinnon, Hawaiian weed is very good, but very expensive. Well, really, I mean, once you are in the commercial atmosphere, it all, it's... California weed is very good. Oregon weed is very good. Washington weed is very good. Once you're looking at like 25, 30% THC, you really can't get much higher than that. So that's how that works. Hey, Chris, good to see you. You are in Wichita, Kansas. Long day going one way. Yeah. All right. We are going to be wrapping it up too. So I'm going to say a hui ho to all y'all. Hopefully we will see each other on Saturday. But for sure, we will have the opportunity to see each other this Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West Coast time. And I'm thinking that we might be able to catch each other on Twitch tomorrow when Shakalak does that early shift. I will be sure to be there, and I hope to see you there too. Oh, wait, hold on. Jim McKinnon, you did some sockeye salmon with fig jam and cherries. It was outstanding. Okay. Invite me over next time you're doing that, because sockeye with Eddie and all those things sound delicious. Even with sockeye without that sounds good. All right. On that fishy note, we will catch each other later. It is so good to see you. Hey, Jim, we managed to almost talk about we almost talked about no foods this time, and now you're bringing food in. We're going to have to wrap it up, because otherwise I could talk about bacon fat roasted Brussels sprouts for a long time. We don't need that. Okay, man, I'm getting hungry. It's time for some bacon roasted Brussels sprouts. Everyone else, have a great time. I will see you guys on Sunday for sure. Later.